Hello, beautiful humans. I'm Jen Madrone, and today I want to talk about the fear of surrender that comes in the awakening process. And it comes when we're, towards the middle. It's hard, it's really not a linear process, but we've done a certain amount of work and we have this deep desire to just surrender to the process. And that desire can come from a couple different places and almost feel like a paradox, because that desire to surrender to this process of transformation, to surrender to the divine, is one that is deep, that comes from our soul, that comes from that desire that is pushing us forward in this process of transformation, to connect with our true self, to connect with the divine in a way that we haven't yet before done in this lifetime. And so that desire to surrender is what I would call a holy longing, one that comes from very deep inside. But it can also come from a place of just wanting to get through the pain as well. And so we can have both of these in motivations at the same time. That desire to surrender is we just want to be done with the process. We just want to be out of pain, and we know that if we just surrender into the divine and let go, that the struggle will cease and we, won't be in pain anymore. But wherever that desire is coming from, it brings up a tremendous amount of fear. The idea of surrendering is in our minds, to our conscious minds, to our egos, is completely equatable with death. The idea of surrendering to this process brings up so much fear because it really is that fear of death. And so we become afraid that we're going to lose everything, that we're going to lose our ability to function, that we're going to lose our relationships, we're going to lose the ability to make money, go to work, take care of our responsibilities, we're going to become homeless. All of these fears come up in the process as we face this fear of surrender. And it can be a fear of actual physical death as well that comes in, because it really is a death on a deep level. We are losing the part of us that we relied on, that we believed made us who we are. And then as we re-examine those beliefs, we have to release them. And that release is extremely scary, especially for the ego, who knows that it is also losing its power. And so the fear of death and the fear of the unknown and the fear of obliteration is the ego fighting back. And it's very much a part of the process. And it can really be overwhelming to us. It can take over our thoughts. It can make us feel stuck in this process of transformation. It can make us want to quit, turn back. It can make us feel confused because on one hand, we really want to surrender to the process. On the other hand, we're terrified and we don't even know what that means and how to surrender. And surrender is one of those things that we can't force, that we can't follow steps A, B, and C, and then we surrender. Pretty much all of the things, all of the different skills, you might call them, in the spiritual realms can't be forced. And surrender is one of those things. We can't force surrender. We can't wake up one day and just say, I'm surrendering to the process. It's happening now. Because that's not how it works. Because it can't come from the mind. It has to come from the heart. And it usually, it never comes from a decision of the mind. So it comes from, that release of the mind really is what it is. It's quite the opposite. It's a complete release of the mind and a surrendering into the heart, a letting go into the heart. And so often in this process, we get worn out. A lot of the purpose of all of the practices and the work that we do, a big part of that purpose is to wear us out so that we just surrender, so that we just give up, so we just let go and we stop trying. And when we do that, we find ourselves in that flow of the divine. And I would imagine that most of you have had moments of surrender in meditation, in your spiritual practices, spontaneously, and you know how that feels. And then it goes away and you hold on again and you grasp again. And that's part of the process. But as we build that muscle, as we continue to surrender, because we don't have to live in the fear of obliteration. We don't have to live in the fear of death. We don't have to live in that fear of being stuck in this same place forever, because it's another illusion, just like the many illusions that we're moving through as we go through the awakening process. And when we move through it, we feel more freedom than we've ever felt before. And so I would encourage you all, if you are feeling this fear of surrender or this confusion around the concept of surrender and what it means, know one, that it is absolutely part of the process, and this paradox means that you're on the right track. And two, know that you have the ability to move through it. And if you want some help moving through this process, if you're really done feeling scared and afraid and stuck, and you want to move through these fears in a grounded and powerful way, then please private message me and we can see if the work that I do with my clients would be a good fit for you. So if you have any questions, just leave them here in the comments. If you're experiencing this kind of fear in your life right now, then tell us all about it in the comments if you want to share. And that's it for tonight. So sending so much love to you all, and I will see you in the Facebook group. Good night.